Hello, my name is Christina Hunt. Today, Tuesday, I was actually supposed to be running a presentation for the Tarflower Chapter, but unfortunately that was canceled. So instead, I was asked to do a short recipe video or something along those lines that could be shared on Facebook with you. So I decided to come out and take you for a short walk. Today I'm making some steak fajitas for dinner. So I am in the back area behind our condos for some ingredients for that. So I'm gonna just take a short walk into the woods here behind our house because some of the things that I'll be using prefer the shade, and most of the area around here is actually extremely sunny. So I just have my trusty colander, handy dandy scissors, and we are going to start out actually right here on this huge bed. You can see it actually all around me. I'm sitting in it, of pellitory over the wall. I love that name for this actually. So this is pellitory. I'll zoom in there a little bit. This is actually in the stinging nettle family. You can see by the opposite leaves, very similar shaped leaves, but it's not hairy and it's not going to be stinging you. You can kind of see the resemblance, but there's seeds underneath the seeds and all along the stem. If you crush it, it smells very similar and tastes very, very similar to cucumber, and it will go really well just raw right on top of my tacos. So I'm going to take a little bit of this. One note with pellitory, most people don't have an issue with it, but I do want to caution you in that some people can have a slight reaction to it and itch, but that's not very common. It's with any wild plant or really any new food that you try, you want to try just a tiny bit at a time anyway, just to see how your body reacts. It doesn't even matter what it is. It could be kale for the first time and it could give you a stomach ache. So you always want to start excuse me, with smaller bites and just, sorry, I'm looking to see for some things. Just start with smaller doses, just see how your body reacts first. Alright, we gotta get around this batch of bamboo. I'm gonna climb through. Because on the other side, I have the next ingredient. Oh, actually I just found. We have here thistle. You can see its spikes. I'm not going to take this. I'm not going to use it now. But this is actually a good size if you were going to try the leaves, the newer leaves around the rosette. They're not going to be quite as tough. But you'll need to boil those and cook them. Let's see. All of my oxalis seems to be gone. Oh no. Let's see. Go back this way. I might have missed it. See, always an adventure. Especially around here. Alright, let's see what we can find. It used to be all right here with the pellitory. You know what? I found it. Here we go. I didn't have my eyes open. Just this last week, all of this, I'll zoom in again. All of this was growing huge and blooming. It was impossible to miss. So it's a little bit past its prime, but that's okay. I'm gonna grab a little bit of it anyway. This is wood sorrel. You can see by the larger leaves, let me find one for you, that this is actually the invasive pink wood sorrel. Our native one is going to be much smaller, and it's got tiny yellow flowers. This has purple or pink flowers. Sorry, it's pink. A little purplish. And it is very sour. That's what sorrel means. And it is oxalis spul. I don't remember exactly which species this one is. But all of the oxalis are edible, and all of the parts are edible. The leaves, the stems, the roots, and in the spring, the tiny tubers as well. That's all edible. So I'm going to grab some of this. And it's called oxalis. It has actually oxalic acid, which is what gives it its sour flavor. And that's going to give this, I'm not going to really call it chimichurri because that's not quite what I'm making. But it's going to give the sauce that I make today for the steak. Oh, what am I making? Oh yeah, steak fajitas. It's going to give it a nice sour flavor to go along with the pellitory on top. And we'll add a few other ingredients. Our cilantro, salt, pepper, lime juice, all of that deliciousness. All right, got a little bit of that. Wish we had some more, but starting to get a little bit later in this particular season, so we'll see what else is growing around here. We have all sorts of wonderful things. Unfortunately, a lot of invasives, but some of those invasives are edible, so I look at it more as an opportunity to do my part in eradicating these things by eating them. Let's see. We have coming up, oh, we have some grape here. Let me see if I can get you can see the berries are starting. I'm very excited about that. We have a lot of it growing all the way around the pond, and I am going to be making some jelly later on. So we have all of this. It's a lot. Part way into the woods and around some parts of our neighborhood, we also have beautyberry, which is fantastic. We have a lot of really interesting plants around here, both wild as well as some that are, just common plants that you would plant in your yard or garden that are also edible that a lot of people don't realize, including, oh my goodness, bottle brush. That's a really common plant here in Florida that's used in a landscape, and that is edible. You can make tea from the leaves. The flowers are actually really sweet, so you could add that right to your tea as well to sweeten it up naturally. All right, so here I have found the next ingredient. This is poor man's pepper, or pepper grass. Let's see. Sorry. You can see the seeds, and you see the very mustard-like flowers on top. It is in the mustard family, so it'll have those tiny four-petaled white flowers on the top. I'll take some of this. The seeds, you see there, are rounded. Oh, it's kind of hard to focus. There you go. The seeds are rounded. It is related also to shepherd's purse, which will have heart-shaped leaves, as well as tansy mustard, which has the long skinny leaves, seeds. The heart-shaped seeds and long skinny seeds. The leaves on all three of those plants are actually going to be fairly similar. You'll notice they're very long, skinny, and go on both sides of the stem like this. Now this plant, Lypedium virginicum, I believe is the correct botanical name. I'm just going to pull the whole plant up. This one, the seeds you can use like actually black pepper. That's why it's called poor man's pepper, because that was used instead. The leaves you can use either raw or cooked. They're really good in salads. They add a nice spice to it. I'll be using the leaves today in this chimichurri, like I said, for that spicy flavor, which I think will pair really well with the sour from the wood sorrel, along with the cilantro and anything else I can find today. I'm not sure it's all going to go into the sauce yet or not. But also the roots. You can see that they have those long tap roots, and that's actually called sometimes Florida horseradish. And you can actually grind that up, chop it up, however you want to use it, just like you would horseradish. It's very spicy. Personally, I have not had luck yet with preparing the roots just right. That's something I'm working on, but if you have ever used the roots of peppergrass, please let me know. I would love to know your methods. All right, let's keep going. Let me grab a little bit more here. I'm going to take this one too. It's in good shape. Peppergrass is extremely common. You probably have it in your yard along with the oxalis and pretty much everything else I'm grabbing here. It likes the sun, it likes sandy soil, it likes a little bit of everything. It'll grow in dry areas, mildly moist areas, all throughout your lawn. So it's one of those that if it gets mowed down, that's okay, because in a week it'll pop right back up and you'll have it there as well. Let's see, we're passing some papyrus now. Heading across to the other side of our retention pond, where we have more, let's see here. We have more grape growing through here, as well as a few other things. Right here we have wax myrtle. And if you're not familiar with the wax myrtle tree, that's actually what they use to make bay rum candles from the seeds. They have around the pods a waxy substance that was boiled down and separated from the water and then turned into candles. The leaves, that's probably the easiest way to identify this plant. I don't always remember exactly how it looks, but I always know how it smells. So if you crush the leaf, oh, it smells so good. It smells just like bay leaf, and it can be used exactly like bay leaf as well. So I'm going to take some of this. I'm going to add this, a few leaves to the pot as I cook. I might not add it to tonight's dinner, but I can dry these and add them later to some other meals. So I'm going to add these to my colander and move on. Let's see here. Mixed in here amongst everything else, you may see a few white flowers popping back in. We have blackberry growing wild all in this area. It's hard to see now because it's not blooming, but very soon a lot of these little bits where the blooms were, those are going to be really gorgeous, delicious, hopefully this season, blackberries. With those, you can actually make tea from the leaves. You can do just about anything with the berries. I don't necessarily get enough at one time to be able to make anything with just the blackberries. Excuse me. They tend to come out in spurts. So I'll gather some, keep some in the fridge or in the freezer. And if I don't necessarily have a big enough crop because I wasn't able to beat the birds or the squirrels to it, I'll add that to the grapes or to the haw apple or the elderberry and just make a sort of hedge jelly. And it's delicious. Let's see. There's one more plant that I want to point out before I turn off the camera on our little walk around the retention pond. And that is this one here. So behind me, as you can see, actually there's two edible plants here. We have a ton of invasive sword fern in this area. This is one of those plants that I mentioned that I like to do my part and eat. This one is the tuberous sword fern. It is not the native. And you can actually tell because on the back of the leaves it covers along the stem, both sides. So this is the invasive, and if you dig down, you'll actually pop up little round spherical tubers that I would kind of relate them to probably not really a juicy water chestnut, but I'd kind of compare it to that as far as texture and flavor. And some people will just eat them raw, some people don't like them, they think they taste a little muddy. I like to slice them and just put them on top of my salad. And then the last one is really more just for color and for fun. It's one of my kids' favorites. It's this plant back here. I don't know if you can see behind me any of the red flowers. They're back there. That is sleeping hibiscus. It's also known as, was it cardinal hibiscus because of the shape of the cardinal's hat. But it never opens, you can tell. That's why it's called sleeping hibiscus. And if you can eat the flower petals on top of salads, it's not really, it doesn't really have a lot of nutritional value or anything. It's just a pop of color to add some pretty to your salad. It also has a little bit of nectar in the bottom of it. My kids like to just pop them off and suck the nectar off the flower before heading back inside after they've been playing. Anyway, thank you for going on a walk with me. I appreciate your joining me. I hope I didn't bore you too much or ramble about these plants. I love them so much, so I have a tendency to just go on and on. But I am really looking forward to tonight's dinner. This is going to be really tasty for on top of our steak fajitas. I'll make some chimichurri, and when I finish that tonight, I will be sure to share photos of how that turned out. All right. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and I hope to talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.